Hello, Professor. My name is Nayely.Alvarez. I'm going to talk about bilingualism. So, we have two types of bilingualism, the simultaneous and the sequential. The simultaneous bilingualism occurs when a person acquires two languages at the same time from early childhood, typically before the age of 3. This usually happens in families where the parents speak different languages, for example, English and Spanish, or in multilingual communities, for example, in Africa, they speak French and English. Since both languages develop together, the person often achieves a native light proficiency in both languages. Then we have the sequential bilingualisms. This occurs when a person learns a second language after having the fully or partially acquired the first language. This process often happens when children start school in a different language environment or when adults learn a second language later in life. The level of fluency in the second language depends on factors like age, motivation, and exposure. Thank you.
Hello teacher, I am Lizeth and today I'm going to talk a little about the tribe in approach to bilingualism according to the brain process. These have three hypotheses. Number one, separate system hypothesis. This hypothesis purports that each language a bilingual person now is processed by an independent neural system in the brain. It would be like having to separate programs for each language with a little or not interacting between them. This theory suggests that bilingual people do not transfer a skill or a structure from one language to another. The number two is external the system hypothesis. This hypothesis states that both languages share the same processes system in the brain. The two languages are management through the same neural network, which would allow great transfer or skill and knowledge between them. Sayed hypothesis number three. This hypothesis is a combination of the previous two. It purports that there is a central language processing the system, but that each language has its out suggester or module with that the system. This means that their brain are sharing for two language, but also a specific one for each one. In summary, the three hypotheses check to explain how the brain of a bilingual the person organized and the process of language. It's other a different perspective on the relationship between language and the brain. Current scientific evidence suggests that relating in probably a combination of all 10 hypotheses with respect of each person in bilingual process. Thank you so much.
Hello teacher, I'm Deisy.Guevara and now I'm going to talk about type of bilingualism. We have three different types. The first type is compound bilingualism. This occurs when a person learns two languages simultaneously in the same environment. For example, a child raised in a bilingual home speaking both Spanish and English. Here both languages share one conceptual system. The second type is coordinate bilingualism. This happens when someone acquires language in different contexts. For example, learning French at school while speaking English at home. In this case, each language develops its own mental representation. The third type is subordinate bilingualism. In this case, a second language is learned through translation from the dominant language. An example is an adult learning German by translating from their native English. In conclusion, I can say that bilingualism comes in different forms: compound, coordinate, and subordinate, each influencing how languages are learned and processed. Additionally, I can say that bilingualism provides cognitive benefits and impacts brain organization. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Magister. My name is Valeria.Merino. I'm going to talk about the cognitive advantages and disadvantages of bilingualism. What is it? Well, cognitive bilingualism is the intellectual skill required to the cognitive in two or more languages. Furthermore, in the brains of the bilingual people remains very active and flexible, and the learning second language has positive impact on the brains of the people. The fourth is advantages, a great cognitive flexibility, other better attention span and decision making, and delaying the Alzheimer's, for example, prevents Alzheimer's and development of the metalinguistic skills. However, disadvantages the cognitive bilingualism is learning delayed, slower language development, and interface between the two languages. Is what affected cognitive skills of the bilingual people. In addition, bilingualism has impact on the rate in the language processing. Well, there are two types, code switching and different brain structures. Well, code switching. Bilinguals can mix words fluently without losing comprehension. In other words, bilinguals have the ability to alter between the two languages by the same speaker with a single speech or sentences. For example, I went to the mercado to buy some aguacate because I'm making a guacamole for dinner. In the sentences, the speaker suddenly switching between English and Spanish. These communities with many bilingual speakers. In other different brain structures, bilingual brain the process language differently than the monolingual brain. Therefore, the neuroimaging studies have revealed difference in the activation structure for all certain brain areas. For example, brain development of the gray material has been observed in the regions associated with the skills to control the language processes. In conclusion, bilingualism not only involves knowing two languages, but also transforms the way the brain processes information. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rebeca.Peñafiel. I'm going to talk about language recovery after brain damage. Theories about how language are organized in the brain influence how they recover after brain damage. There are three models. One, single system model. Both languages share common neutral networks. Two, dual system model. Each language has its own independent representation in the brain. Three, hybrid system model. There is overlap between language but with specific areas for each language. Patterns of recovery in bilinguals. Research has identified different types of recovery after brain damage, including 1. Parallel recovery. Both languages improve at the same rate. This is the most common pattern. 2. Differential recovery. One language recovers better than the other. 3. Selective recovery. Only one language recovers significantly. 4. Successive recovery. One language improves first, then the other. 5. Antagonist recovery. Improvement in one language interference with the other. And 6. Alternative recovery. Languages are switch on and off at different times. In conclusion, language recovery in bilinguals after brain damage depends on the brain organization of the language, the pattern of recovery, and factors such as age and language use. A therapeutic approach tailored to both language can optimize rehabilitation. Thank you.